excuse the hats to cover the bonnet, which is starting to look awful. Right, so I asked you guys recently for some questions to be featured in this video, and I've had loads of responses. So what I'm probably going to do is actually split this up into a few parts or a series of videos. If you have any more questions that you want answering in this series, then comment or just message me on Instagram at AdamWingFilms. And don't forget to like this video and share it with anyone that you think might benefit from it. So first up, we have a question from Adam Johnston, and Stephen Dawn Films asked more or less the same question as well. At what point did you decide to take the leap of going full-time? Was it a certain number of bookings, or did you phase it in with part-time work on the side? So when did I go full-time? Interesting question, because I didn't actually go, it's not like I left another job and went full-time. I was actually at university studying to be a teacher. So I was still at university training when I started to build my wedding business. And from sort of September, October, from when I've started that year at university to around about May time when I graduated from uni, that's the time I spent, as well as doing my university degree, that's the time I spent building up my business. So by the time I finished my degree and qualified from uni in May, I think I had, for that summer, I finished in May, and then for that summer, sort of June, July, August, September, had about 8 to 10 weddings, I think, built up by that time. So I knew when I graduated from uni and finished, I knew I was going into a summer with around about 8 to 10 weddings, and I was also second shooting for a friend of mine, so I was getting a bit of money there and doing a few weddings there as well. Now, if I'd have got a job using my qualification from university, I would have started a job in September teaching at schools. I had the decision to make of, do I run with this summer of weddings and see what happens, or do I get a job in September and carry on doing weddings part-time, and how, you know, that was my choice. And also important to note as well, I was living at home at the time I lived with my mum, and I was still at home, and I was paying her a bit of rent and upkeep, but I didn't have any mortgage or bills or kids or partner at the time or anything like that to in terms of outgoings. So my expenses, my outgoings were very small because I still lived at home with my parents, and I didn't have many bills, I didn't have much to worry about in terms of money. So I knew that the 8 to 10 weddings that I had, maybe £8,000 to £10,000 worth of income, including all the weddings I was doing and the weddings I was shooting for my friend, second shooting, with like £8,000 to £10,000 worth of income and a bit of student loan that I had left over. I knew that was going to last me like 6 months easy. So I knew that I had a good, finishing uni, I had a good 6 months of money that I could survive off of. And I had this summer of weddings coming up, and those weddings were going to be chances to network, chances to meet new suppliers, portfolio, and, you know, opportunities to build for generating new inquiries. I had 6 months there to play with where I knew I'd be safe financially, and I figured if I can't generate any bookings for weddings in 6 months' time, then I'm doing something wrong. So having a 6 month period where I knew I just had to, I had these weddings coming up, and I had, as long as I generated inquiries and bookings during that 6 month period, then that would mean new deposits coming in, and that would bankroll me, and it would build from there. So I just kind of took that gamble. But I mean, I think a 6 month security blanket financially is a good point to go, yeah, I'm going to make the leap. If you've got enough money to last you 6 months to a year, then sure, you can think about going full time. Because I mean, in 6 months' time, if it wasn't working out, then I'd have just got a job. So I think that was fairly sensible. But again, everyone's in a different position financially. You might need £30,000 to last you 6 months. You might only need £5,000 to last you 6 months. Everyone's in different positions. But it wasn't a number of weddings that I decided I've got 20 weddings so I don't have to worry about getting a job. It was more, how much money have I got coming in? I don't need to worry about getting a job. Next question is from Maxine. When is the course coming out? Very soon. The wedding course that we're doing is going to be out I don't want to promise anything, but it should be the end of the month, if not 1st or 2nd of May. But I shouldn't make any promises, but it should be by the end of the month. Richard Willis asks, a common theme among wedding videographers is to showcase the wedding highlight and not the documentary style, ceremony, reception, speeches, etc. I'd love to know what sort of edit you provide your couples for the latter and how edited is that footage. Okay, so yeah, you're quite right, Richard. Most of us share the highlights film online because that is the juicy, creative film that's going to attract attention of potential brides, and it's just visually a lot more appealing, and you want to entice couples in, and a highlight film is a great way to do that. And you're showing off the very best bits of the wedding day, and for couples looking at your stuff, they see a highlights film, they're like, whoa. But of course, I also offer a full film of the ceremony, a full film of the speeches, longer films. Some people do documentary edits, which is like an hour's worth of film, and a lot of it's just raw footage. I offer the raw footage in its complete natural state straight out of the camera, and I give couples all the raw footage if they want. As I have that as an option, and that is just literally 300 clips of raw footage. So to answer your question, Richard, I do a highlight film. I do a longer film of like 15 to 20 minutes as well, which I call a feature, but it's still a creative film. So that's the showcase pieces. They're the pretty films that you share online. I also give them a ceremony and a speeches video. Now, these are just literally the full recording of the ceremony from 2 cameras, and then I'll in the edit I'll multicam those and cut them between the 2 angles. For the ceremony, for example, I record from the back of the aisle, I'll record from the side of the aisle, and the video itself will just cut between the 2 angles. But in all intents and purposes, it is the entire ceremony. There's not too much editing gone on with that, aside from like adding in a bit of audio. So that's what I offer. And then the only other thing, if you want more unedited footage from the day, I just give them the raw footage straight out of the camera, all the clips. If you want to see an example of my ceremony films, my speeches films, drop me a message on Instagram. I'm happy to send those over. Little Moments Films, 2 questions from Little Moments Films. When do you follow up with your couple about their plans after booking them? That's the first one. When do you follow up with your couple about their plans after booking them? So once they're booked in, I will then follow up with them 6 weeks before the wedding. So they might book me, and then the wedding's not for another year. So they book, I'll say, guys, we'll catch up soon. Maybe add each other on Facebook at this point. Your deposit's paid. Thanks for sending that. We'll catch up with you soon. I might not hear from them then for 9 months to a year, and then 6 weeks before the wedding, I'll check in. Hi, just checking in. Obviously, the wedding's like super close. Do you want to catch up, go over details, etc.? And that's what I do. I follow up to go over the details and the plans for the day, because 6 weeks before the wedding, they're going to have all those details nailed in and confirmed. So I always do a final check-in about 6 weeks to a month before. Second question from Little Moment Films was, how do you get better SEO on Google? My sort of philosophies on SEO, I have a WordPress website and I use a plugin called Yoast SEO, which is a great tool. They have like, if you've used it, it has like a traffic light system, and it'll tell you which parts of your website and which parts of your text on your website are red, amber or green, and the objective is to get them all green, and once they are, then you're SEO optimized. It's a good little plugin. Look up Yoast SEO if you use a WordPress site or something similar. I do that for my SEO, but bear in mind that just because you've called your website, or you've keyworded your website for, wedding videographer Manchester, just because you've done that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to appear at the top of Google for wedding videographer Manchester. There's a whole lot more at play. There's things like the amount of traffic going through to your website, the amount of backlinks that your website has on other websites. All things, there's a lot of factors that Google take into consideration in their algorithm to decide whether your website is one that they should rank highly or not. and it isn't all down to the keywords in your copy or in your text. So the best thing that you can do is be driving as many couples or as many clients as you can to your website, and trying to get backlinks to other websites. So you might have links to your website on a photographer's recommended page, or you might be on a blog, featured on a blog, and then they link your website. So that's a backlink, and Google values those things: traffic, backlinks, authority, more than keywords. So basically, the more authoritative, or in other words, the more traffic and the more respectable your website is, the more Google's going to push it up the rankings, combined with the keywords and things. That's going to help the best. So work on all three of those: your copy and your keywording, your backlinks, and getting as much traffic as you can to your website. I hope that kind of answers that question. Last question. Like I say, I've had loads more, so I'm going to do a part 2 video soon with some more questions. But the last one for this video that I wanted to save till the end, because this is a big one. This is from Heather Hughes, and Jake Flint asked a similar question as well. It's such a struggle getting new work. I never get referrals, and it feels like a closed shop at so many venues. Tips would be great, etc., etc. So these guys are asking basically, how do I get more referrals? How do I generate more inquiries? How do I get more work? How do I get in more venues, etc.? They want tips on that. And I wanted to say this till the end, because this is a big topic, and it's probably the biggest question that I get asked, right? Like, how do I get more bookings? How do I get more inquiries? How do I generate more work? This is the biggest question that I get asked. And I've kind of pinpointed where all of my inquiries come from into a few categories, and a lot of my inquiries come from, or 99% of all my inquiries will come from one of these things. So I'm going to try and quickly talk you through some of those. Well, one of them is SEO, which we've just talked about. SEO in my website to be as good as it can be, but also doing YouTube SEO, in which I will upload my films to YouTube, and I will call those films sort of London wedding videographer, or Savoy Hotel London wedding, or Manchester wedding video, and I'll rank my YouTube videos the name of the venue, or whatever search term I want to be found under. So a couple that are on YouTube looking for their venue, your videos are going to pop up. That's YouTube SEO. I have a bit of success with that. Things like entering awards, being on blogs, accolades, any badges that you've won, any awards that you've been part of, any blogs that you've been featured on. And then putting those badges on your website, that builds authority, but also you get put into the blogs directories, and couples go on to bridal blogs and then find me featured in a post, then they'll come back to me. That works as well. Now obviously, to win awards, to be featured on blogs, takes a good quality of work. It takes maybe a bit of time if you're just starting out, but you can certainly, there's a lot of blogs that you can pay to be a part of. You can pay to be a featured supplier, and then all you're doing is paying a fee to be one of their recommended suppliers, and then you get a badge that you can put on your website, and that builds some sense of authority for couples, and that's a good avenue to look into. Obviously social media, Instagram, Facebook especially, YouTube, there's others, there's Twitter, there's Pinterest, there's things like that, but but Instagram and Facebook, be posting as often as you can on social media. I always notice if I've had a dip in social media, if I've not posted on Instagram for a few days and the inquiries are drying up, and then all of a sudden I'll have a spurt of posting on Instagram every day for like 4 days, and then all of a sudden the inquiries start coming in again. There's always a correlation. So definitely be doing social media. But the main place that my inquiries come from is referrals. So that's referrals from weddings I've done previously, from previous couples, their sisters getting married, their cousins getting married, their friends getting married. My couples recommend me, But also, obviously, I get recommended by a lot of suppliers. I get recommended by photographers, by venues, DJs, florists, makeup artists, singers, chocolatiers, chair cover people. Like every supplier you could imagine is a potential referral stream for you. So how do you get other suppliers to recommend you. Obviously, if you've worked on weddings with them before and you've got on and you've connected, then there's a good chance that they're going to recommend you the next time they get an inquiry. Works best with photographers and with venues. You know, I get inquiries all the time that have come from photographers recommending me, and those are photographers that I might have worked with the week or two before. The idea being that you want to build up a stream of inquiries and a stream of potential suppliers that are going to recommend you, and the best way to do that, or the only way to do that, is to network with people. Build your own network of industry friends and widen your network, and have as many sub-networks as you can, and have as many industry friends as you can, and all recommend each other, so that there's as much work going on around as possible. If you've got 20 photographers that are recommending you for all of their weddings, that's bound to generate some inquiries. And in terms of networking, obviously you meet suppliers at weddings, but going back to awards and entering awards, if you enter awards and you go to the awards nights, there's always an opportunity to network at these events. They have awards nights, presentation and events. You can meet suppliers there. There's always networking events going on in the Northwest, in my area where I am, where suppliers just meet up for a night out or a coffee or brunches. Look on Facebook. There's always there is plenty of networking opportunities and events always happening that you can take yourself along to. If there's not, generate your own. Like, make a Facebook group, find 10 videographers that are in your area, or 10 photographers, or 10 wedding suppliers that are in your area, and just drop them a message saying, "Hi, I'm a wedding supplier, I live in a similar area, I do a similar thing to you, do you want to hang out and have a coffee?" Message 50 people with that, and 10 might come back to you, and then you've got a little gang of 10 people there who might want to recommend each other. Meet up, yeah. You meet up, you have a coffee, you get to know each other. That's your network starting to grow. So always be looking out for these networking events, and if there isn't any in your area, then why not start one? But the thing is, don't be dead obvious of like, I want to be friends with you because I want to get recommendations out of you. It's not about that at all. Every relationship I've built with suppliers in the industry is a genuine relationship where we've been friends first, and that just happens to have led to work. So these networking nights, they're not like, here's my business card, please recommend me. It's just, you meet up, you get chatting about things in common, you have a drink, you just be normal people and hang out like normal folk and talk about anything but weddings, and then you become friends, and then it just happens to be bonus that you all recommend each other. I think the wedding industry is great for that. Everyone's dead friendly and open, and it's really nice, especially where, I mean, in my case, in the Northwest, we have a huge network of hundreds of suppliers that meet up every year, twice a year, and just go on a big drinking session, and we all get on, we're all friends. It's brilliant. The other thing I want to talk about is wedding fairs and wedding open days, styled shoots, which they have their own benefits, but there's 3 opportunities again to network and meet new suppliers. Styled shoots, wedding fairs, wedding open days. You can go to all of these events and meet new suppliers and become friendly with new suppliers. So have a look in your local area, or the area that you want to be a part of. So there might be an affluent area that you want to get yourself into that's a bit further away from where you live. Make that journey, make that drive, and go to that affluent area. Look at the venues in that area, and just drop in and start a chat with the staff or the coordinator or whoever, or just message. You can message 10 venues in your area and just say, "Hi, I'm a videographer, I love your venue, I've always thought your venue's great, I'd love the chance to film there. If you've got anything, would you mind me coming along to your venue one day, just bringing my camera and filming some stuff?" And then you're welcome to have it for your social media. Okay, we have a powerful tool in these things, in that we can just make video for people, and video content for any industry, for any business at the minute, is king. So if you can message 20 venues and say, "I love your venue, I'd love to film there, would you mind me coming down and just filming some stuff one day, and whatever I get, you're welcome to have it, I'll make you a little video, put it on your social media." You do that for free, they're going to love that. If you message 20 venues with that, you might only get 2 or 3 that come back to you, but you do those 2 or 3 and they're going to be super grateful for what you've produced for them. And then in turn, that might naturally lead to, oh, would you like to come to a wedding fair that we're doing in next month? Or you could say, I've noticed you're doing a wedding fair or an open day. It's coming up soon. Do you want me to come along to that and film some behind the scenes for you? Don't even ask to be part of the wedding fair. Just say, do you want me to come down and film your wedding fair, do a bit of a behind the scenes video? If you offer that, they might there and then say, well, would you like to be on the wedding fair? Would you like to do a stand and have a stand at the wedding fair? They might not. They might just let you come and do the thing and get the free video out of you. But then the next time, it'll be maybe they've not got a videographer that on the next wedding fair that they do, and they've got a space open, and they might message you then saying, do you want to come and have a stand at the wedding fair? Or they might say, do you want to come back and we're doing another wedding fair, will you come back and do a video like last time, and this time we'll give you a stand? That's a great way to get in with venues. Same thing with styled shoots. If you know any photographers or suppliers who are setting up styled shoots, again, message, would you like me to come and do some video, behind the scenes video of your styled shoot? 9 times out of 10 it's photographers that arrange these styled shoots, so by doing a behind the scenes video for them, they're going to be super grateful. Boom, you're in with a photographer, and you've made a connection and a network with a photographer there. But not only the photographer, but all the other suppliers that were also on that styled shoot. So it might sound like a whole lot of free work, but all it takes is your time. A couple hours filming there, a couple hours at home editing. It just takes your time, and what you're potentially getting back for your investment of time is relationships, connections with photographers, venues, other suppliers. You've got great social media content from doing the videos, portfolio stuff. Why not? And it soon doesn't take long for those things to start snowballing. And if you're doing all of those things, if you're doing the networking, if you're doing the social media, if you're doing the wedding fairs, you're doing the style shoots, if you're entering these awards, if you're doing your SEO stuff, and all of it snowball together, the inquiries will start to come in for sure. I just hammered all of this and did as much as I could and said yes to every opportunity there was, and worked my arse off for a year, 18 months, and I'm reaping the benefits now, years later. So it takes time, it takes patience, and it's tricky at the minute because we can't go anywhere. But you can certainly be doing social media right now. You can certainly be doing SEO and YouTube SEO right now. You can certainly be connecting with suppliers and other wedding vendors. You can be doing Zoom calls. You can be, like I said about meeting up with and networking with suppliers. You could arrange a Skype or a group Zoom house party chat with 12 videographers in your area. Why not? Just because you're stuck at home doesn't stop you being able to generate these kind of things. So all those things should generate inquiries, and hopefully they'll work for you as they've always worked for me. And I really do believe that will help generate inquiries. And I know it's tricky at the minute to generate new inquiries, but don't forget, everyone's stuck at home. There'll be plenty of brides and grooms who now have more time than they would in normal life to think about planning their wedding. And there's going to be loads of weddings next year. There's going to be a lot more weddings next year where videographers aren't available because they've had to, like my diary's filling up with postponements. So I'm already, for next summer, I'm struggling for availability. So there's going to be a lot more couples looking for videographers, and there's going to be a lot more videographers already booked up. So there'll be a chance there. I think there's going to be more couples looking for videos next year than ever before, because of how busy everyone's going to be and because of all the weddings that have been postponed from this year. So yeah, I do hope that answers that question and is helpful. If there's any more questions, like I say, please leave them in the comments. And if you've got any questions that you would like to be featured on these videos, I'm going to do a part 2 and a series of Q&As if people have questions. If you've got questions that you'd like to be featured in these videos, drop them below, let me know, and I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching as ever. I will see you soon.